Ricardo, benvindo, and welcome to the podcast. How's 2021 treating you so far?
Hi, Ole. Thank you very much for having me here. It's my pleasure to be with you today in this conversation. Well, 2021 started just like finished 2020. Not very different from that, but I'm hopeful that everything's gonna get better soon, and let's hope for that the world gets in a better shape and in a better way. But thanks for having me here today.
No, it's a pleasure having you here, and we're gonna have a very interesting topic on our hands, and gonna dive into like innovation, sports tech, Arena Hub, a lot of this good stuff that is happening, all the way from Brazil. Although I know you're sort of like based in Lisbon, right, in Portugal, if I'm not mistaken. And how is that sort of like balancing out, like working from I guess like you can't travel much these days. How are you kind of like holding up with like the time zones and all this stuff?
No, that's right. Yes, Arena Hub is in Brazil. It's located in São Paulo, but I'm living in Lisbon for a year now. My family, in fact, is living in Lisbon for 3 years. So
nice.
Until 2019, I spent like 3 years kind of moving from São Paulo to Portugal once a month. And now since last year, I'm being the whole year here. Because of what's happening, it's very feasible to work from distance.
Right.
As you mentioned, borders are closed now. I just can go, but things are going very smoothly, and it's possible to work from here. And there's a big team in Brazil also taking care of the Arena Hub, so it's okay, it's manageable to do it. But Lisbon, it's
at the end of the day too, though, you have the opportunity to be with your family a lot more, which is always a good thing.
You're totally right. Last year was very important for this, to really reconnect with the family. I have 4 kids, so it's important to be around them, and lots of noise at home. So it's good. It's good to be with them.
That's good to hear. And for all of you that are tuning in today, if you're interested in innovation, key tips that are happening from sport leaders in the industry, make sure to like this video, subscribe. Maybe make a comment of like who you would like to see on the podcast in 2021. We're always listening to you guys, and this is a great place to get those insights. Make sure to do that. But Ricardo, we're just gonna dive right into it, and I kind of just wanna learn a little bit about your journey and your career, I guess, into the sport industry. Like where did it all begin? Take me back.
Okay, well, yes, let's go back some time ago, right?
Right.
I have a degree in advertising, right? I study advertising in Brazil, in São Paulo. And Escola Superior de Propaganda and Marketing. That's the name of the university. But my first job was really as executive accountant at Globo TV network. Globo is a major media group in Brazil, in Latin America, and also worldwide.
Right.
So my first job was as an executive accountant. It was right after the university. I applied for a trainee program at Globo and ended up responsible for selling sports projects for clients and advertising agents. It was my first contact with sports and with this industry. So I stayed as a sales executive for 3 years. And after that period, I went to work at Umbro International as a marketing analyst, right?
Nice.
Umbro is the clothes company, international brand. I stayed in Umbro for 4 months. I left Umbro to do an MBA. I thought it was important to really have more preparation in terms of economics, in terms of business. So I left Umbro and I did an MBA from ESADE in Barcelona, right, and an exchange program at University of Berkeley at California in international marketing. Fun is that after the MBA, I've returned to Umbro, where I stayed for 4 years as South American marketing manager, and I was responsible for the footwear and equipment business unit. Nice. Then in the year 2000, I returned to Globo. It's funny. All these 20 years, I left Globo, went to Umbro, left Umbro to MBA, returned to Umbro, and then returned to Globo. That's right. It's a good sign. When I left, I left with the doors open, so it was really good.
That's great.
I returned to Grupo Globo in the year 2000 to the marketing department. Where I stayed for nearly 20 years at Globo. First as marketing manager, and then as a sports marketing director, where I was responsible for all the sports commercial packages that that the media company presented to sponsors, including like World Cup, Olympics, Formula One, UFC, just to name a few of them.
That's amazing. And
Yeah,
now,
it's
I mean, like
interesting.
now you're starting a new journey, you know, with the Arena Hub, you know, as their CEO, and I think like for a lot of our, you know, I guess young listeners and viewers out there, like, you know, I guess, you know, Arena Hub is still very new on the map, and you know, trying to put their stand. I would assume a lot more, you know, in the market in Brazil. But for those that don't know, like, what is Arena Hub all about, and how do you sort of like plan to activate Brazilian sports startups, I guess, into the global sport industry? Because I mean, like, the world has been, you know, is getting more and more global, and especially with the pandemic. So like, how do you plan to utilize this, I guess, with Arena Hub?
Yeah, you're totally right. I mean, well, Arena Hub is an entrepreneurship and knowledge and innovation center, right?
Right.
That we seek to, one, develop the sports, media, and entertainment industry, right? Second, generate social and economic impact. It's really important for us.
Right.
And three, connect the whole ecosystem of the industry, like startups, sports entities, brands, investors, universities, research centers, athletes, students. Our goals are creating, supporting, and accelerating initiatives, companies, technologies, and ideas that use sports to promote this social transformation.
Right.
Unlike, we always like to say that, unlike other hubs in Latin America, Arena Hub is a complete ecosystem with three main verticals. One, they sponsor companies that support these initiatives and support this movement and the industry development.
Sure.
They startups who are responsible for bringing technologies, ideas, products, and services. And a third part is the industry partners, clubs, leagues, federations, athletes, and professionals. That all they really form a really powerful platform and field of test for the startup MVPs, for instance, right?
Right.
So we have all these entities, connecting them with the startups and connecting them with the sponsors. It's also part of the ecosystem. We have like this knowledge center, we call, with the contribution of universities, schools, courses, acceleration programs, mentoring and training. And as I mentioned before to you, this mindset of social impact in all of our activities, right? We at Arena Hub, we work with 8 main theses, like it's fun engagement, human performance, intelligent spaces and IoT, knowledge, business intelligence, esports, which is huge worldwide now, media and content, and social impact and sustainability as well.
That's great.
We define ourselves as a platform, right? And our platform consists of massive business network, right? We connect the whole ecosystem to generate all these possible collisions and business among our partners and associates. We have acceleration programs with innovation for startups and organizations. In fact, just information, now we are launching in the next weeks the first acceleration program focused on the sports industry, which is going to be a massive thing in Brazil. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, very nice. We are in the final process of organizing it. Have brand activation and the possibility for brands to connect and benefit from what is developed. We had a lot of events, either online, presential, but I mean, of course, the presential ones are postponed for, let's hope, very soon, with the participation of industry leaders from Brazil and worldwide. And I also, like to make an invitation. We're organizing one specific about employment in this industry, and I'd like to make an invitation for you to join us in one of our talks. Have training programs.
We'll have that discussion after the podcast, though.
That's great.
But I'm more than happy to be part of it, for sure.
No, that's great. Good. Thanks. We have like strategic support for organizations, access to content, knowledge sharing, challenges, and hackathons. We did an interesting challenge last year in Brazil in conjunction with Sebrae. We got like more than 80 startups that applied for the challenge. It was very interesting process. It was very nice. First big one challenge, also dedicated to sports. And we have a flexible workspace that is already operating, of course, due to the health restrictions at a smaller scale. But we have one that is located, just for people to understand it, Allianz Park. It's the stadium of Palmeiras, one of the major stadiums, one of the most modern stadiums in Latin America. We are located there. and also intelligent spaces is part of our thesis. So it makes the whole sense
Yeah,
of
yeah.
connection, right? So just to understand how we operate, I mean, we work as a consultant for the sports entities in order really to
Right,
understand their challenges, their issues, and after having like a complete understanding of their needs, we
right.
connect them with startups, right? Who might have or is willing to develop solutions, products, technologies to attend those needs. Like as a hub, we have the goal really to link all these dots of the ecosystem and foster right the development of the industry and strengthen the whole industry. In fact,
Yeah,
and coming back to your question, we really believe that with a strong ecosystem, a mindset that's important towards innovation, uh, knowledge, capacitation, investors will start looking at this, what are being developed in such a big and important industry, in such a
right.
big important country and market as Brazil and Latin America. And we believe that Brazilian startups have all the conditions to scale, which is critical for this industry, right?
Yeah,
Especially for the development of the startups. Um, just to give you some numbers, to this day, Arena Hub will have like more than 60 startups already associated to
nice.
us and 30 sports entities, among them the Brazilian Olympic Committee, Football Federation of São Paulo, the World Surf League, Volleyball, Basketball Federations, esports teams, amateur sports. There are associations and also several strategic partnerships with nation and international innovation hubs, entities, and companies, including the ones with you, Sporting
Right.
Global, that are contributing a lot to develop the hub and develop the associates of Arena Hub.
Oh, I think it gives a really great overview. And I mean, like, if there's one thing like that sort of like, stuck with me and like, I guess like how we think too is, it's one, obviously, the social impact that you guys are focusing on. And the other thing is as well of like, okay, how do you essentially, helping, I guess, these startups that are part of the accelerators or the programs to, having the opportunity to connect, whether that is like, working on specific projects or talking directly to, I guess, potential clients. Because at the end of the day, it's like, as a startup, like it's one thing building a product, right? But you have to speak with your users or your clients or what that might be, and understanding, okay, what is their needs and the challenges, right? And I remember like you talked about accelerator, right, where you
Mhm.
guys had that project with like 80 startups. And I guess like in that sense too, you guys opened up for global participation. And why is this sort of like important for Arena Hub and sort of like what you guys trying to achieve? Because obviously you're based in Brazil, you want to sort of like help, I guess, like in a sense more the Brazilian ecosystem in startup. But why like having this open for the global ecosystem, I guess?
Well, I mean, sport industry is totally global, right? This
Right.
industry is global. There is no boundaries. That's one of the benefits and one of the strengths of sports. I'd say. I
Right.
mean, the volleyball it's the same anywhere in the world. I mean, the sports is the same. Of
Yep.
course, you have differences, but I mean, the sport is the same. It's easy to understand. So it's boundaries industry. That's one point. And as a global ecosystem, I really believe it's fundamental to understand deeply what's going on in the world, right?
Right.
Uh, so really understand these initiatives and best practices, and trends, business models. So this is gonna, of course, help the whole ecosystem we're developing. It's also is important for international startups to start to pay attention at this market in Brazil and Latin
Right.
America, which is big, and also for this prepare the Brazilian startups really to try to scale up and look for the world, because the
Right.
technologies they might have in Brazil might be applied in any different part of the world and vice versa. So
Right.
that's really important for us to think globally, because the industry is global, the trends are global, with differences, of course, depending on the places, difference of maturity of markets. But anyway, still it's a global industry that and we have to take a look and understand it as a global as well.
And speaking, I guess, a little bit on sort of like, of course, helping the startups, I guess, on like sort of like, I guess doing market research and kind of like, figuring out what are the numbers, the sizes and how the industry is thinking essentially. I mean, like you guys as well have, posting several market research opportunities, in the global market. And from your side, like, why is this so important? And I guess like not only for, Arena Hub, but for the
Mhm.
startups too. Like, why is this approach very important? Why are you guys doing it too?
Okay, okay. Well, yeah, as you just mentioned, I mean, is knowledge is critical, right?
Right.
And these job postings you mentioned a great opportunity to understand really relevant markets and what are being done in these places, right?
Right.
Uh, and coming to back to your question, it's not only Arena Hub, but also all our associates, either entities, startups, and strategic partners, will benefit from this, right?
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think it's a great opportunity to really find motivated people and contribute in a way to this industry that want to either want to get a taste of this industry, right? Had the first experience
Right.
with sport industry, start networking in these sports. I think it's really important, and it's a very global industry, as we mentioned. And who knows, start working in this industry as well.
Yeah.
So this mix of getting to know what is happening worldwide, and also contributing with our knowledge to what's happening, understanding business model, understanding what is working and what is not working, understanding the trends. This, of course, will have a huge impact, a positive, huge impact in our ecosystem and also to our associates. That's what we really believe. And we are with these job postings at your platform, and we hope that very soon we'll have this great group of people joining us and contributing to Arena Hub for
I'm
sure,
I'm I'm, I'm
and to
sure
the
they
whole
will.
ecosystem.
And for those of you that are maybe interested in doing like some market research for Arena Hub, like now you had the opportunity to hear a little bit about what Arena Hub is all about, how they're thinking, the global aspect. So there are several market research opportunities, internship opportunities at our platform at Sporting Global. So if you haven't, just make sure to check that out. Maybe you find something that is, if you're located in Spain or UK or US, what that might be, find whatever you think is interesting, and perhaps you'll have the opportunity to work with Ricardo, in the near future. Who knows? So just grab that opportunity. And I mean, like even I guess for startups in the ecosystem too, because everyone is like sort of like talking about that importance of doing market research, and I think it's important for, I guess, the young students and professionals here to see that, okay, even as Arena Hub, I guess, being responsible for a lot of this, startups, the connecting the dots, you guys are still, doing your market research. And that element don't stop, even if you're a big company or like a federation, what that might be, you still got to do your research, and I think that's a very important point to bring forward. It never stops learning, as I said, sort of like the knowledge piece around it. And that is critical for even companies like Arena Hub and whomever you are.
Totally agree with you. I think research and understanding your consumer, understanding your industry, it's fundamental for any job you're going to do it. And not only in
Right.
sports, but I mean, market research and understanding the data you are taking from this research is fundamental. And it's really important. Totally agree with you. Yes.
So obviously going a little bit back to your history with Umbro and Redo Global, like what are some key lessons that you learned from your experience that you're bringing into Arena Hub now as the CEO, and sort of like the innovation piece, I guess, of the sport industry? Because when you're working with like major companies such as Umbro and Global, right, like it kind of like in many cases it lacks sort of like that, I guess, startup mentality. First of all, like,
Mhm.
did you see anything of those in Umbro or Global? And second, like, what kind of key lessons did you learn that you're bringing now when you're kind of like dealing with all these different entities and stakeholders with Arena Hub?
Great. Well, I'm very good question. I mean, I'm very glad to work in this industry, right, and
Right.
to have the opportunity to work at companies that had huge importance and direct impact on how the business was done, is
Right.
done, and will be done in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
I always say that Brazil had like a golden decade in sports events. Like we did the Pan American Games in 2007,
Yeah.
which is not a worldwide very important event, but for
Sure.
Latin America it was very important.
Yeah.
We had the World Cup in 2014 and the Olympics in 2016,
Yeah.
several international events like Formula One and many others. And I was directly involved in each one of them, right?
Nice.
Representing Globo at this spot, in contact with them, developing the commercial parts of the broadcast, very, very involved. So this 20 plus years at the sports industry, of course, has helped me to understand the dynamics of the industry, players, business models, trends, how the technology has been changing the industry, either the consumer, how consumer is consuming media, consuming the industry,
That's
consuming
changing
sport.
every year.
Exactly. So you're totally right. And how it's still changing a lot in the coming years, as you mentioned, it's still changing at a pace that is really fast, right? Also, impact of technology on the consumer behavior, for example, that's huge. That's massive as well.
Right.
So I learned all I learned how this industry works, how the business works. But it also allowed me to, I think it is very important to establish and build a very strong network in the industry, right? Both in Brazil and worldwide, right? I think it's really important in any industry you operate in. You mentioned about the difference. Yes, I mean, Umbro Brazil was not as a big company. It was important. It's an important brand worldwide, but in Brazil was not as big. But I mean, Globo is a huge company,
right? Exactly.
Very big. Of course, in these last coming years, Globo is very, because of the media business, media communications, is very technological business. It's totally linked and it's totally dependable on it. So had many initiatives there regarding technology. But of course, Arena Hub is a totally different thing, right? It's very interesting because I left this huge company. Now I'm operating a startup. It's my first experience in a startup, and it's really motivating. It's very interesting. It's very nice and encouraging. I mean, at Arena Hub, we are a group of extraordinary people from different areas, right? That's important. We try to bring people from different areas to contribute. Like we have people coming from the innovation side, live marketing, from sport entities world, from the investment part and consultancy, media with my experience, communications, and we really are this very different group of people bringing knowledge, experience, and networking that is contributing to strengthen the hub and the ecosystem, right? We deal with traditional companies, we have partnerships with traditional companies. At the same time, we are dealing with these startups, we are dealing with the sports entities. So it's a very interesting mix. And of course, being a lot of time in the industry helps me to understand and bring to Arena, as these other members of Arena Hub have a deep understanding of their businesses, and we really try to complement each other and to bring different perspectives of the business, different ideas, and because I think that's really what makes it big and makes it challenging and interesting, right? To have people that do not necessarily agree with you, but they bring a different perspective that you might adopt and might think. So I think that's the richness of the process of developing something from the zero. And also, of course, we have a very clear mindset of where you want to go, what we want to reach, and so it's very challenging process that I'm very happy to be part of it.
I mean, like I can relate to like how it is as a startup, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like of course, I think you touched upon like some very key elements of like bringing people right from different cultures, different experiences, and kind of like at the end of the day, like you all sort of like burns for, I guess, the same thing, like the passion for sports, right, and innovation, and sort of like how do we bring sports to the next level. Because I mean, like again, I guess like from a very overall standpoint, right, that's a sort of like what we want to do too, like obviously within our own lens and scope, right, and that's obviously why our partnership makes a lot of sense. But I think it's very important to touch upon that. But I'm kind of like curious for there might be like some entrepreneurs and stuff here, just tuning in, listening, maybe have their own startups. Obviously, we've been focusing a lot on helping these young startups as well, like finding great qualified people to help them building their doing their market research, building their product, maybe selling their services, and since you're working like with sports startups in Brazil, but have this global mindset, I guess, like through the accelerators, through different kind of programs, like how can startups be part of Arena Hub and like maybe separate that from like, I guess, Brazilian based and I guess global based, if there is any difference, and like how can they get involved?
Okay, good. Yeah. Great. As I mentioned before to you, I mean, we have today more than 60 startups associated, right?
Yep.
We believe that, again, startups from any field can contribute to the sports industry. You do not have to be a sport tech.
Right.
Uh, that's not what we are, not necessarily to contribute to the sport industry. You need to be a sport tech, right?
Sure.
So we welcome any startup to join our ecosystem, either fintechs, edtechs, any kind of field, because
Yeah.
we really believe in the change of the contribution of different industries to develop the ecosystem, right? And also,
Right.
regardless of the stage you are, ideation, early stage, growth, and scale up situation, we have startups from all these different stages part of our hub. Uh, we are, although we have a physical space at Allianz Park in Brazil, we are
Yeah.
kind of a platform, right? We do not
Sure.
necessarily have to be in São Paulo
Yeah.
working at the physical space. So we have startups from Brazil, from all the different regions from Brazil,
Right.
which is very interesting. We talked earlier about the challenge we did, more than 80 startups that, yeah, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 40 startups from São Paulo state, and the other 40 startups from not from São Paulo. So we are
Right.
very open to this, and this happens worldwide as well, right? Uh, uh, we have some international startups already being part of it. We have some international sports entities. We have international strategic partners, as you, for instance, being part of the ecosystem. So we really think that anyone is very welcome to come to Arena Hub. Like with 30 plus sport entities belonging to Arena Hub, the
Right.
startups, and this is important for our audience to understand, have a vast field of possibilities and opportunities to test their products, right? In a very big market, we're talking about Brazil with 200 million
So it's a
people,
lot
with
of people.
a lot of people,
I
right?
always say to Eduardo, like, there's Brazilians
Yes,
everywhere. I like it's crazy. They're everywhere.
it's a lot of people. You're right.
It's
And
a
we talk
lot of
about
people.
Latin America. We're talking about 600 million people when we
Right.
talk
It's
about Latin
nuts.
America as a whole. So it's a big market. It's a
Yeah.
big potential market. So all these startups, international ones, have and also an interesting point. When you take a look at the sports entities in Brazil, they have a long way in terms of their digital transformation. So there are lots of opportunities, lots of
Yeah. Lots
possibilities
of
to develop.
potential. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's really a very welcoming, entertaining, welcoming environment for these international startups to really come to this market, right? We are launching this acceleration program mentioned to you. That's also another possibility for them to launch. We
Yep.
have different plans at Arena Hub, right, for the startups who want to join us. We have like an entry plan, a connection, and growth plan, and the latest one with
Right.
office positions in our flexible workspace at the
Nice.
Allianz Park, as I mentioned to you.
Yep.
Uh, and for all membership plans, startups and sport entities, they have like the benefit of our digital platform, as we mentioned, which is boundaries, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah. Yeah.
no need to be in Brazil, right? Uh,
Right.
and access to a wide range of content, services, projects, business network. As I mentioned to you, we have this deep understanding of the sport entities. We take a look at what they need, and we connect with startups that are related to this, that can add value to these sport entities. We make this
Right.
connection, and then they can develop products and services. So, and they can apply. Being very practical, they can apply either through our website,
Yep.
arenahub.com.br, and get in contact with us. And also, if they want to get in contact with you, and you can send us information of
Absolutely.
startups that might be interested. So we're very open and really to connect, to discuss, to understand, to learn. We are
Yeah.
very open to learn, as we mentioned. I mean, we really want to understand, and definitely other international hubs. We have already some partnerships with some of them,
Right.
but we are talking to as much people as we can, because I think that and that's an interesting learning from this industry. I'm taking in this small time working here. I mean, people are really willing to share, right? I think that's interesting. People shares a lot of information. They share a lot of knowledge. So it's everybody learns, and the whole industry benefits from this.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just touching upon the last point, I guess, what you're saying in terms of sharing, like, insights, right? And we always talk a lot that when you're a startup too, that you're kind of like afraid of sharing sharing information like or like too much, right? And I remember this
Hmm.
too when I was like, in my very like early stage and like literally like on my ID, and I'm like, how much am I gonna share? Like
Yeah.
where do I set the bar? But it was also like this thing where I'm just thinking like, the best way for me to get feedback and really like digging deep is to like just lay out as much as I can. Of course, like I'm not gonna share like every
Yeah.
little thing, but
Of course.
as much as you can. And because just being that open, like it lets people think, and if they think and they give you like a question or a thought or whatever that might be, like I had so many questions, so many comments on my initial ID that just helped pivot it and excel the project to what it is today. Because
Hmm.
mainly like
Yeah.
I just had one ground idea. I did my base research, but in that research, we talked to several kinds of people and organizations and entities that were relevant for us. And I just literally asked them like, what do you think about this? And just hearing their perspectives and thoughts. And in order to get their, the best possible feedback, you have to open up. And I think it's good that, that you guys, Ricardo and Arena Hub, having that open mentality. First of all, like are listening, are willing also to share, a lot of
Hmm.
information with whomever you're speaking with. And of course, if you are a startup out there or like accelerator, what that might be that maybe interesting in Arena Hub, you can also follow their page at sportingglobal.com and
Hmm.
support them there, like see the content they're sharing. You're connecting with Ricardo as well, and utilizing that to like stay on top of what's happening with Arena Hub. And if you're more interested, I'm sure you can reach out to Ricardo or to me, and we'll make sure that the bonds are connecting, I guess, because that's also very important with Sporting Global. It's like connecting those dots. And if that's B2B relationship or partnerships or what that might be, then that's a key part of improving the sport industry together. And Ricardo, I mean,
Great.
like we're actually about to reach our final question, of the podcast. It's been a nice conversation so far,
Yeah. Very good.
and we've been learning a lot. And I mean, like, for, and I think a lot of people have been sitting here now, just like, okay, we've been learning a lot about Arena Hub innovation, like your journey. And if you want to like map out like some tips for sports students out there trying to find a career in the sport industry, maybe they're Brazilian, maybe not, maybe they're global, um and like first of all, like what tips do you have for them? And second, like is startups or maybe like startups, I guess, a route to go in this challenging time? Like what are your thoughts?
Good. Tip. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, like um, like most industries, the sport industry is going through lot of changes, right? Through a deep
Right,
transformation. On the other hand, challenges and opportunities as well, right?
right,
It's a global industry, as we mentioned here. A lot of passion involved. Of course, we have to separate passion. Working the sports is not cheering for your team, right?
right.
Cheering for your team, so it's different.
You're
Uh,
not a
and there
fan.
are many not a fan, exactly. That's a big difference. We are not a fan. We are fan. We are also a fan, but I
Of
have to
course,
separate it,
of
right?
course.
Exactly. Yeah. Uh, and many fields that one can get involved in this industry, right? In media and technology, for
Right,
instance, sport entities, athletes, event consulting, data, as we mentioned before. So
right.
I would say that for anyone, it's first thing is really to study a lot the industry and the ecosystem. I think
Yeah,
we talked about market research before.
right.
Research a lot about what is this industry about, right?
Yeah,
What are the possibilities? What are the challenges? What are the things you like? The things you might not like? Get really yourself informed about what is going on in the industry, latest trends, case of success, specifics of the industry. This
right.
is and today there are a lot of tools available for anyone, right? This
Yeah,
pandemic, with all the bad things and all the tragic things that happened, they take some good sides from this. A lot of content available, and also another thing it's important is many meetings we are able to do now. Maybe they were not possible if there was no pandemic, right?
right.
People are much more reachable now because of the situation, because of how they
100%.
are. No, right? Um, so take advantage of this in the sense, a lot of information, lot of sources available, and really research about what is this. And also it's an also opportunity to start building a network. We mentioned about building a network before, right?
Yep.
Networking before. Uh, and not only to receive, but also to give. It comes back to what we said about sharing knowledge. I mean, to really to construct a truth networking, you really should not only get from people, you also have to give as well. So it's important
Give back.
this give back totally, right? um and I would say one thing, it's I think it works for me, and uh to 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 get, if possible, in a sales position. I
Yep.
think that was a good. I started, as I mentioned in the
Right.
beginning of our conversation. I started as a sales executive
Right.
accountant for Globo TV. Right. I think it's really important because it helps your negotiation skills. You have to understand the perspective from each other, not only
Right.
your perspective, but what your client wants, what is important for your client, what he doesn't want. It's not selling what, maybe not necessarily selling what you want to sell, but what is that he wants to buy, what makes sense for him, what adds value for him. So
Yep.
I think that being in a sales position really helps you to get this perspective of various sides of the ecosystem, right?
Yep.
And develop your skills. And this, I think, is important no matter what job you will do,
Right.
not only sports, but in
I
in
agree.
any area you're going to work. So and your last question is, I think it's a great time to be in a startup in this industry. I mean, the sports
Right.
industry is going through a tremendous change. Every day we see different things appearing. We see new technologies that are impacting the whole industry. So it's a great time for being involved in this industry. It's a great time to be involved in innovation. So yeah, I mean, I would say I've I've worked my whole life in the sports industry, right?
Right.
So it's I'm really glad, and really say to anybody that is interested in these industries, it's a great place to be. It's a great place to work, and but understand it,
Right.
and really study, because it's important for whatever you're gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, like if you want to be make an impact, right? In the industry, you got to understand it, and you got to speak with a lot of people. And I think also, like
Mhm.
as you were saying about the startup ecosystem, I guess like people are open, right, and like focusing on learning, experience, knowledge, sharing those kind of insights. And for a lot of you that are young, I think like one of the things that we've been focusing to as well is like learn how to sell, right? Especially now, like with the current situation, it's like if you can bring in
Mhm.
money essentially to any organization that you're working for, you are valuable because people have
Yeah.
been in a rough situation now, and if you can bring that in, that's extremely valuable, especially now more than ever, I would say.
Hmm.
And I mean, like, of course, I think what is interesting too that people like, are a lot of people are sort of like locked in their okay, I want to work for like Manchester United, or I want to work for Barcelona, or like, and that's cool and that's great, but you also got to think about like where do you think you'll learn the most, like where can you like
Hmm.
essentially provide the most value, or perhaps you know your curve can go maybe the fastest. And in a company that is sort of like, all right, I'm not always going to limit people to like maybe startups, but the startup is sort of like an interesting thing in terms of like just being able to have an impact, on what is happening, because it's so tiny and everyone has like multiple roles. So we just don't be like having one task. We will be doing a lot of
Hmm.
different things. And the second thing is like explore the markets, right? Which is hot. You mentioned, esport earlier, right? How fast that's been growing, like especially now also with the pandemic. Like it's one of those sectors that could go on even if there's no physical events and like everything stopped, like you can still play online
Hmm.
and doing the tournaments there. So it just showcase like be a little bit smarter, bro, of like how do you utilize this time here in the best possible way. And I mean like as with that, Ricardo, I guess like do you have any final remarks before we wrap up?
No, I mean, it's just to really my pleasure. It was very nice conversation. The time passed very fast,
Yeah.
Really good sharing my experience with you, Ole, and with your audience. Also about Arena Hub. That's a very brand new thing. So it's get to know us. We are very open to talk. We are very happy with the partnership we have in Sporting Globo. I think you've been a great and valuable partner for us, and we are sure that we're gonna really evolve this partnership in a lot of fields, and we're gonna grow a lot. So it's great industry to come. Whoever is listening to this, it's nice to work in this industry at this right time with a lot of changes. So it's thanks a lot for your time and for the opportunity. My pleasure.
Absolutely, Ricardo. And for all of you that are listening, if you want to check out more of this stuff, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow, give a like and all this stuff, and make sure to sign up at Sporting Global. And with that, Ricardo, thank you so much for taking the time, and vi snakkes, which means see you later in Norwegian. So now you know some Norwegian too.
Thank you. Ciao, nos vemos em breve. I said some Portuguese words.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Ricardo.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.